I never thought living on a peaceful farm would lead to a full-blown battle with drones buzzing over my fields like angry wasps. At first, I thought it was just some random kid in the neighborhood messing around. But then it became clear this wasn't a one-time thing. These drones were flying low, hovering way too long, and always showing up around the same time. That's when I found out Karen, from the HOA, was behind it. Yup, that Karen. Always complaining about everything from the color of my barn to the smell of my cows. And now she had taken things to the next level, using drones to spy on my property. Like she ran the FBI. I tried talking to her. I even brought it up in the HOA meeting, hoping someone would shut it down. But she just smiled that smug smile and said she had every right to monitor potential violations. Violations. I live on a working farm, not a cookie-cutter cul-de-sac. And the worst part? The drones kept multiplying. Every other day, a new one appeared, some with cameras so clear. I could practically see the reflection of her porch in the footage. So I decided I wasn't just going to sit back and watch anymore. After all, I've got livestock to protect, crops to manage, and privacy that's worth defending. That's when I did a little digging into drone laws and signal interference. Let's just say I found a solution that was completely legal for personal property defense, and once it was set up, the drones didn't stand a chance. One by one, they started dropping, not crashing violently, but gently losing power. Like bugs caught in a web. But just when I thought the buzzing nightmare was over, something happened that I never saw coming. One drone didn't just drop, it landed. And what I found inside it left me stunned. The drone that landed didn't just shut off and fall like the others, descended slowly. Almost like it chose to land. That was weird enough, but what really caught my attention was the small, blinking red light under its frame. I picked it up carefully, half expecting it to zap me or fly off again. Instead, it just sat there, humming softly like it was still alive. When I turned it over, there was a tiny slot with what looked like a micro SD card. Now, I'm no tech expert, but I know enough to realize this drone wasn't just for spying. It was recording everything. The weird thing was, this drone didn't look like the others. It was newer, sleeker, and had a little sticker underneath with a serial number I didn't recognize. That made me think, was Karen working alone? Or was someone else involved now? I went inside, popped the card into my laptop, and the first few videos confirmed it. Clear as day footage of me loading hay, working on my tractor, even feeding the animals. But then it got even creepier. One clip was of me and my daughter sitting on the back porch, completely unaware we were being filmed. That's when it stopped feeling like just some petty HOA drama and started to feel like something more serious. I started reviewing my security camera footage from the previous nights. That's when I noticed a white SUV parked down the road. Same time the drones always showed up. Could that be Karen? Or had this whole drone thing escalated beyond her nosy habits? I didn't sleep much that night. Every creak, every buzz of the wind felt like something or someone was watching. I even caught myself checking the sky with a flashlight. I thought installing those jammers would solve the problem. Turns out, it may have just uncovered something even worse. And the more I dug, the more I realized this wasn't just about drones anymore. The next morning, I drove into town with the drone in my truck bed, hoping someone at the local electronics shop could help me trace that serial number. The guy behind the counter gave me a long look when I explained the situation, then quietly pulled me aside. He said that specific drone model wasn't something you'd just buy off a store shelf, was custom built, likely through a specialty online supplier, and not cheap. That raised even more red flags. Karen was nosy, sure, but she wasn't exactly tech-savvy. And she definitely wasn't known for shelling out big money unless it was to find someone for an unapproved mailbox color. I started thinking maybe someone else in the HOA had joined forces with her. Or worse, someone from outside the neighborhood was involved. A few weeks earlier, there had been rumors about a company scouting farmland in the area for some kind of development project. I'd brushed it off, thinking it wouldn't affect me. But now I wasn't so sure. What if the drones weren't just spying for HOA drama, but gathering data for something bigger? Meanwhile, Karen's behavior started getting stranger. She stopped walking her dog past my property and began showing up at HOA meetings with thick binders and printouts. I caught her once snapping pictures of my barn from the road, pretending to be on a phone call. She wouldn't say a word to me, just smiled that tight-lipped smile and walked off. I could tell she knew something had shifted, that I was getting too close. And just when I thought I had all the strange pieces in front of me, my neighbor Greg showed up one evening with a half-burned drone in a plastic tub. Said it crashed in two. His chicken coop out of nowhere. But here's the thing, Greg lives 2 farms over, and he's not even part of the HOA. That's when it hit me. This whole drone thing, it was spreading. And maybe Karen wasn't the one in control anymore. By the end of that week, the entire valley seemed on edge. More neighbors started coming forward, quietly, cautiously. A retired couple from down the road said they'd seen unfamiliar vehicles parked near the tree line late at night. Another farmer mentioned his dogs had started barking non-stop around 3 a.m. always the same time. And then there was Jenna, who worked at the local feed store. She pulled me aside one afternoon and whispered that she'd overheard a conversation between Karen and some man in a suit, something about property data and accelerating the timeline. Jenna didn't know what it meant, but the way she said it gave me chills. I started mapping out the drone sightings, marking every odd event that had happened over the last month. A pattern began to form, like someone was systematically targeting certain properties, gathering footage, testing reactions, and mine was at the center of it all. I began to suspect this was no longer just about privacy violations. Someone wanted control, not just HOA control, but land control. The tension hit a breaking point when I got home one night and found my back gate wide open. It's the kind of gate that creaks like an old ship, the kind you can't just accidentally leave open. A trail of fresh tire tracks cut through the dirt behind the barn, leading to a clearing I never use. That's when I saw another drone, but this one was different. Bigger, heavier, and this time it wasn't trying to hide. It hovered almost defiantly, rotating slowly as if it was scanning the property. I stood still, heart pounding. Then, just like that, it zipped upward and vanished into the treetops. The very next morning, a letter appeared in my mailbox. No return. Address. Just one sentence typed neatly on plain white paper. Stop interfering, or there will be consequences. I stood there on the porch, letter in hand, rereading that one sentence over and over. Stop interfering, or there will be consequences. My first thought was Karen, but deep down, I knew this felt different, colder, more calculated. Karen might be petty, but she wasn't this subtle. She liked drama, not threats. That letter came from someone else. And suddenly, the drone, the SUV, the weird HOA documents, they all started pointing in a new direction. Someone was watching more than just my farm. They were watching me. Later that day, I decided to drive out to Greg's place. I figured maybe if we compared notes, we could start piecing together what exactly we were up against. But when I got there, something felt off. His front gate was chained shut, which was odd, since Greg was always working out by the coop or in his shed. I called his name, knocked on the metal gate, even honked. Nothing. Then I saw his back window was shattered. And not like a branch hit it. It looked punched out from the inside. No sign of Greg, no sign of his truck. That night, I couldn't shake the feeling that something bigger was happening. I pulled up the drone footage again from the SD card and slowed it frame by frame. That's when I noticed something I hadn't seen before. The reflection of my truck window during one of the flyovers. There was a man. Not me. Not anyone I recognized. Standing near the far end of my field, dressed in all black, watching the drone from the ground. How long had he been there? The next morning, my power went out. Not the whole grid, just my property. No internet, no cameras, nothing. I went outside and found the breaker box open, wires cut clean. But what really sent a chill down my spine was what was left behind. Another note, this one handwritten. You were warned. That's when I realized this wasn't about Karen anymore. This was about getting me off this land. I wasn't going to wait around to see what happened next. After the second note and the cut wires, I decided to go straight to the sheriff. I brought the drones, the footage, the notes, everything. At first, they looked at me like I was just another neighbor tangled in HOA drama. But when I showed them the man in the truck window reflection and the aerial footage with GPS overlays, their attitude changed. Turns out, the sheriff's office had received a few scattered complaints over the last few weeks. Strange surveillance, missing pets, lights in the woods, but nothing solid. Until now. The investigation kicked off quickly. Deputies installed motion-triggered cameras around my property and nearby roads. Within 2 nights, they caught footage of 2 individuals sneaking through the trees near the eastern edge of my farm. One of them was the man from the drone reflection. The other, a face I never expected. Mark Granger, the HOA vice president. Always quiet, always neutral in meetings. Turns out he wasn't just helping Karen push rules, he was working with a private land acquisition group trying to force farmers out for a shady development project. The drones were just part of their tactics. Gather dirt, fabricate violations, scare folks into selling. Karen had been in it for power, sure. But she was just a piece of a much bigger scheme. And Greg, he hadn't vanished. He'd been staying with family after receiving similar threats. He came forward once he heard arrests had been made. Between the footage, the witnesses, and the tampered equipment, the case stuck. Granger and his partner were charged with trespassing, stalking, and more. The HOA board was disbanded, pending a full review. But just when I thought it was over, I got a package in the mail. No return address. Inside was a single drone propeller, charred on one side. And a new note, you stopped us once. You won't stop the next wave. Holding that burnt propeller in my hand, I felt a mix of anger and exhaustion. But mostly, I felt ready. Whoever sent it clearly wanted me rattled. But they underestimated one thing: this land isn't just dirt and crops to me. It's home. And I wasn't going to let a shady land grab or HOA power trip scare me off. Over the next few weeks, I beefed up my security with more cameras, solar-powered floodlights, and proper fencing along the tree line. The sheriff's office kept a patrol car nearby for a while, and their investigation spread to other counties. Apparently, our HOA wasn't the only one dealing with sneaky land pressure tactics. Karen resigned quietly, claiming stress. The last time I saw her, she avoided eye contact and shuffled out of the HOA office with a box of files. Mark Granger, on the other hand, is still facing charges. And Greg? He moved back in, a little shaken, but more fired up than ever. We talk more now, compare notes, watch each other's backs. That part's been a silver lining. Our small farming community feels closer, more aware. Word spread fast, and now folks aren't afraid to speak up when something doesn't feel right. Looking back, I never imagined a few buzzing drones would uncover a whole plot to push me off my farm. But I also didn't think I'd find this kind of strength either. This fight wasn't just about privacy. It was about standing up for what's yours when it matters most. So, if another wave comes, I'll be ready. 'cause this farm has seen storms before, and it always weathers them. Thanks for sticking through this wild ride. If you've ever dealt with HOA drama or weird drone activity, drop your story in the comments. You're not alone. And trust me, sometimes the quietest places have the loudest battles.